This video is brought to you by Innovative Language, the creators of Norwegian Class 101 and Danish Class 101. Innovative language courses are one of my favorite ways to start learning a new language online. Click the link in the description for a free lifetime account to give it a try. Hello everyone, welcome to the Langfocus channel, and my name is Jansen. Today we're going to compare Danish and Norwegian, specifically one of the two official forms of Norwegian, Bokmål. Due to the union of Denmark and Norway, which lasted for centuries, Bokmål is largely based on the Danish spoken by the upper classes in Norway during that time. Danish and Bokmål are in large part the same, with some slight differences in grammar and spelling, some different vocabulary words and usage, and more than anything else, differences in pronunciation. Danish is famous for being difficult to understand because of the tendency to slur and delete sounds that are more clearly pronounced in Norwegian. To be clear, Norwegian has no official pronunciation and all accents are considered correct, but the pronunciation, the accent of the capital Oslo, serves as a de facto standard. Let's compare some basic vocabulary and see where the differences lie, especially in pronunciation. In Norwegian, we have this word,
rar,
meaning weird or funny. In Danish,
rar
means pleasant. Also notice the difference in the R sound. In Norwegian, it's an alveolar trill. In Danish, it's a uvular fricative or approximant at the beginning of the word. And at the end of the word, it's silent. But in its place, we can hear
stød,
the glottal stop or creaky voice that appears in some Danish words. It's represented in IPA transcription by this symbol. Norwegian doesn't have this feature, but instead has distinctions in pitch accent. Both of these words mean knife.
kniv, kniv.
In both words, the combination kn is pronounced the same, kn. But in Norwegian, iv is pronounced iv, while in Danish it's a diphthong, u. And again, the word ends in a glottal stop or laryngeal creaky voice. These words mean dress.
kjole, kjole.
There's a subtle difference in the sound that kj represents in either language. In Norwegian it's kj, a voiceless palatal fricative, while in Danish it's k. In Danish it's a cluster of two sounds, k, followed by y. Because the second sound is palatal, it ends up sounding somewhat similar to the Norwegian sound, which is also palatal. These words mean dear in Norwegian
kjær,
and in Danish.
kjær.
Notice the difference in the initial consonant. In Danish, k and g can appear before a front vowel, but in Norwegian they can't. So the digraphs gj and kj are used to represent the different consonant sounds. Also notice the silent r in the Danish word. These words mean shirt in Norwegian
skjorte,
and in Danish.
skjorte.
Again, notice the difference in the initial consonant, this time represented by skj. In Norwegian, it's sh, while in Danish, it's sk. There's also a difference in the vowel sound. In Norwegian, it's more like u, while in Danish, it's more like o, because the Danish r, after a vowel, is pronounced as a vowel itself. These words mean ship in Norwegian,
skip,
and in Danish.
skip.
Notice that in the Norwegian word, sk represents sh, while in the Danish word, it represents sk. Silent G occurs in both languages, sometimes in the same contexts and sometimes in different contexts. These two words are cognates and both feature a silent G. In Norwegian,
deilig,
meaning delicious or lovely, and in Danish,
deilig,
meaning wonderful or lovely, and sometimes delicious. Also, notice the slightly different spelling. There are lots of little spelling differences like this between Danish and Norwegian. While delicious is a primary meaning of the Norwegian word, in Danish its more common meaning is wonderful or lovely. These words mean book in Norwegian,
bok,
and in Danish.
bog.
Notice the final K in the Norwegian word and the G in the Danish word. In Danish, the final G is silent. The vowel represented by O is also different. In Norwegian, it's more like U, while in Danish, it's more like O. But here, the O and G together actually form a diphthong. These words mean guest or visitor in Norwegian,
gjest,
and in Danish.
gjest.
Notice the difference at the beginning of the words. In Norwegian, G is silent before J, so it's simply y. while in Danish it's g. Like I said before, in Danish, g can come before a front vowel, but in Norwegian it can't. These words mean evening, in Norwegian,
Kveld.
and in Danish.
Aften.
In Norwegian, aften is also used, but it's less commonly used than kveld, and a little more old-fashioned. And in Danish, a cognate of the Norwegian word exists, but it's old-fashioned and not used much anymore. These words mean page or side, in Norwegian,
Side.
and in Danish.
Side.
While these words look the same on paper, the Danish pronunciation has the soft D, and the final vowel vanishes.
Side.
Now let's look at some sentences in both languages and see how different they are. If you've seen my previous video on Norwegian, you may recognize these sentences. These sentences mean I want to eat, in Norwegian,
Jeg vil spise.
and in Danish.
Jeg vil spise.
Here we can see two sentences that are identical on paper. Of course, there are some slight differences in pronunciation, but nothing really worth pointing out. Here's another sentence meaning I haven't eaten anything today, in Norwegian,
Jeg har ikke spist noe i dag.
and in Danish.
Jeg har ikke spist noget i dag.
Here's another sentence that's very similar on paper, with some differences in pronunciation, and one word with a slightly different form in either language. In Norwegian, there's
Noe,
the neuter singular of.
noen,
In Danish, there's
Noget.
the neuter singular of.
Nogen.
Notice how the negation word is pronounced differently in either language. In Norwegian
ikke,
and in Danish.
Ikke.
In Norwegian, the double K represents a long consonant. In Danish, p, t, and k are voiced when doubled. The double letter does not indicate a long consonant in Danish. Also notice the difference in pronunciation of this word. In Norwegian
i dag,
and in Danish.
I dag.
In Norwegian, the long A vowel is pronounced A, while in Danish it's pronounced E. And in Norwegian, the G is pronounced as G, while in Danish, a final G like this is silent, or an approximant that's almost silent, like a slight R sound. Another sentence meaning they like to drive fast cars, in Norwegian
De liker å kjøre raske biler.
and in Danish.
De kan lide at køre hurtige biler.
First, notice the different ways of expressing like in the two languages. In Norwegian, there's.
like,
In Danish, like is expressed with the phrase.
Kunne lide.
Why does it include kunne, which means can or able to? Well, even though now the whole phrase just means like, it originated with the meaning of able to bear something, meaning you're able to handle it or deal with it, like it's not too bad. Next, notice the different form of the infinitive particle, like to in English. And notice the different spelling and pronunciation of the verb meaning to drive.
kjøre,
Køre.
Next, we see different adjectives meaning fast, in Norwegian
rask,
and in Danish.
Hurtig.
The word
Rask.
does exist in Danish, but it's very old-fashioned to use it with the meaning of fast. But it's still often used with the meaning of healthy.
hurtig,
Also exists in Norwegian as a synonym of rask. Another sentence meaning crime is increasing due to high unemployment, in Norwegian
Kriminaliteten øker på grunn av høy arbeidsløshet.
and in Danish.
Kriminaliteten stiger på grund af høj arbejdsløshed.
The main difference in this pair of sentences is a difference in vocabulary preference. For example, these words, which are the present tense forms of the verb's meaning to increase. There is a cognate of
øke,
in Danish,
Øs.
but the usual word would be,
Stiger.
and there's a cognate of stia in Norwegian.
stiger, stige,
We see basically the same phrase meaning due to, literally on ground of, ground as in reason. But there's a difference in pronunciation between these words here, in Norwegian
grunn,
and in Danish.
Grund.
In the Norwegian word, the U represents an U sound, but in Danish, the U can be pronounced differently after the uvular R, more like å. And while the Norwegian word ends in a long consonant, the Danish word ends in n, followed by a glottal stop or creaky voice. The D is silent after N. In this word, the F is silent, and at the end of the Danish word for unemployment, there's a soft D. Let's examine one final pair of sentences. These sentences mean falling in love is common among young people. In Norwegian,
Forelskelse vanlig blant ungdommer.
and in Danish.
Forelskelse normalt blandt unge mennesker.
In this last pair of sentences, again we see the same sentence structure with some different vocabulary preference. The words for common are different. Notice the different spellings of the words meaning among.
Blant.
Blandt.
But again, D is silent after N, so we don't really hear a difference in the consonants here. The main difference here is in the quality of the A vowel. Notice that the terms for young people are somewhat different. There is a word for young people in Danish that's more similar to the Norwegian one,
Ungdommen.
though that word is pretty old-fashioned in Danish. As you can see, Norwegian and Danish are very similar on paper, but end up sounding quite different when they're spoken. They're different enough to be considered different languages, but they're close enough that speakers of either language can read the other one without much trouble. It seems to me that speakers of either language could learn to understand the other one as it's naturally spoken by learning the features of the other language's phonology and then getting lots of exposure to it. Indeed, people who move from one country to the other do just that, and also learn to make their own speech more intelligible to speakers of the other language by speaking more clearly or more slowly. But a lot of Norwegians and Danes, as well as Swedes, tell me that they just speak English with each other instead. And that brings me to the question of the day, to speakers of Norwegian and Danish, and Swedes too, if you want to jump in. Do you think learning to understand each other and communicate in your respective languages is a useful skill? Or do you think it's better to simply use English, as many people do? And other people, what do you think about the differences between Danish and Bokmål? Do they genuinely seem like different languages to you? If you're excited to learn more Norwegian or Danish, then check out langfocus.com/Norwegian class or langfocus.com/Danish class. Innovative language courses are among the most popular online courses in the world, and for good reason. They're very extensive courses, with literally hundreds of lessons for learners of any level. Their core feature is podcast-style audio lessons, which is great for people who like to learn using audio materials and for people who want to learn on the go. I'm a member of several Class 101 and Pod 101 courses, and I use them to improve my listening comprehension and to improve my pronunciation through shadowing the dialogues and monologues. But Class 101 and Pod 101 courses offer more than just audio lessons. They also have lots of video lessons and excellent tools like downloadable transcripts and lesson notes, spaced repetition flashcards, and quizzes. Features like these help you to review and solidify what you learn in each lesson so that you keep building upon what you've learned and create a strong foundation in the language. Class 101 and Pod 101 lessons are compact and easy to complete in a single sitting, but don't just move on to the next lesson and forget about the previous one. The review tools are there to help solidify what you've learned. It would be a mistake to breeze through all the lessons too quickly without using all of those extra review features. I've never learned a language using only an innovative language course, but I'm a member of several of their sites and I regularly use them as part of my study program. Lots of content is free, including all new lessons which are free for the first couple of weeks, and then if you want access to all the archived content, you can upgrade to a paid account. I really recommend you check out innovative language courses, whether for Norwegian, Danish, or one of 32 other languages they offer. Click the link in the description to get a free lifetime account. I also want to give a big shout out to all the Langfocus Patreon supporters, especially the top tier patrons whose names are on the screen. Check out patreon.com/Langfocus and check out the benefits of the various tiers. And to everyone, thank you for watching and have a nice day.